Entertainment from the comfort of your own home, there is only one true king. The VHS tape play... Wait, that's not it. Oh, I meant the home video game console. Yeah, this machine truly accomplished something amazing, bringing an at one time niche yet incredible experience into the hands of your everyday people. Kids, adults, 12-year-olds, boomers, and college Ninja Turtles who haven't seen the sun since before the dinosaurs were wiped out can now all equally use this wonderful feat of engineering and marketing. Easier to use than the PC for the common man, yet not so simple that it can't still be used by the elite. The video game console truly aided in paving the way for the more media-centric world we now find ourselves in. By allowing video games into the comfort of modern homes, it steadily began to connect more and more with individuals, building a familiarity. And it's this familiarity that aided in it becoming what it is today, the home staple. Now, take everything I just said and chuck it out the window. Video game consoles all suck before Big Daddy PlayStation burst through the door and pile drive little Timmy and the family dog straight into Valhalla. This sexy beast of a machine with one hand ripped the gaming industry from the trenches of obscurity and chucked it into the mainstream, while the other hand continued to pummel little Timmy till he couldn't even go outside and play with the other kids, but he didn't even care, because after a while, he wanted the beating. So yeah, PlayStation's pretty cool. So what could have brought forth such an incredible creation? Well, a company, revenge, and a man by the name of... Hold on, how do you pronounce that?
Ken Kutaragi. Ken Kutaragi.
Okay, sure, let's go with that. In the early days of consoles, there were really only two major companies, Nintendo and Sega. In the time before Sega pulled a big oof and never recovered. Many companies wanted a piece of the new gaming market that had been presented, and one of these companies was Sony Computer Entertainment. And in 1991, it seemed like they had found their golden ticket. Ken
Kutaragi,
an executive for Sony, pitched the original concept for the PlayStation to Nintendo, and from this a partnership grew that would eventually change the world. Nintendo and Sony, both intelligent and cooperative companies, work together to... Nah, I'm just kidding. Nintendo dropped them harder than my ex-girlfriend dropped me. There have been several presented reasons as to why. Fears that Sony would abuse the access to Nintendo's collections of games, a difference in vision for the future of consoles and games as a whole. Whatever the truth may be, Nintendo ditched Sony, and had this been any other company, this would be the end of the story, a single failed collaboration. Unfortunately for Nintendo, they were not dealing with a normal company. In fact, they were not dealing with a company at all. They faced a man, nay, a goddamn samurai, madman!
Ken Kutaragi.
With his anger and frustration rising after watching his dream slip through his fingers, he immediately enacted his plan for revenge by bringing together his company's resources and attempted to work with Sega instead. But that didn't really go anywhere. So instead they made their own console, which is pretty cool. The PlayStation 1. Slim. Efficient. Gray. Except for the ones that weren't gray. The 5th generation instant classic that sold like 1 million consoles, which is, you know, a pretty big number. A few things that made the PlayStation special in comparison to other consoles of the time were its use of CDs over cartridges, and its marketing directed at a more mature audience over the usual family-friendly direction taken by the companies of the time. With a stacked list of new and incredible games that I will not be discussing because I need this video done within this year, Sony had landed firmly as a competitor in the video game market. And then in what PS2 left? The PS1 was an instant classic. The PS2 was an outright home run that went out of the stadium, then out of the city, and the state, and the country, and then kept hurtling until it left Earth's atmosphere, and then smashed into the spaceship Zuckerberg derived from. Fuck the PS1 slim efficiency. The PS2 is thick, black, and sexy as fuck. Yes, I just called a black beep boop box sexy. What are you gonna do? Sue me? Please don't. This was the definitive console for years, and most people born and raised around this time period did so with the great juggernaut sitting firmly as the home console choice. Not to mention the games of this time were utterly outstanding. Destroy All Humans, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, Rockstar pumping out hit after hit, Star Wars Battlefront 2, the Jak and Daxter trilogy, Resident Evil 4, and my personal childhood favorite, God of War. And this is just a personal list, as many more classics shine out over this console's life, making it a landmark in the video game console market. So that's it. PlayStation 2 blew everyone's minds, and then we all joined hands and rode off into the sunset to play some Mortal Kombat Armageddon together for eternity. Yep. That's it. Unless you've lived in a bunker for the last 50 years, you know that this isn't where the story ends. I mean, hell, my channel name comes from a game in the next console generation, but I have to admit that this is what I would consider the dark ages of PlayStation, and the beginning of one of the biggest console feuds that stretches to this day. The PlayStation 3. Curvy, however not captivating. This console is by no means bad, however this marks the first time Sony's release does not stand atop the corpses of all who challenged it. In fact, you could honestly argue that in a race to define a generation of video games, PlayStation 3 fell short to... No. PlayStation 3 came in flying. Look at these curves. Look at this sexy and sleek controller. That isn't all clunky and weird and requires batteries. Fuck you, Xbox. I'll see you in hell. Let's go to the hard numbers where you can obviously see that Xbox 360 outsold. No, who cares about just sales? This is about pride. PlayStation still had its incredible exclusives. Get the hell out of here! We can just skip actual hardware, because one, that's boring, and two, who cares as long as they both work properly, right? Oh wait, funny I should mention that! Xbox! Red Ring of Death having Kinect requiring online play requiring payment piece of garbage! Did you know people who play Xbox have smaller PPs? Did you know that people who play Xbox have more stable relationships because their consoles suck so much that they actually have time to keep a healthy relationship instead of just playing video games? Huh? Did you know? The year is 1998. A group of individuals from Microsoft present the idea to Bill Gates of a home video console built with the power and adaptability of a gaming rig. This would allow for easy development and incredible performance, while still keeping the price more affordable than an actual high-powered gaming PC setup. And in 2001, Bill Gates, with the help of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, unveiled their new console, Xbox. Its success was tied heavily to its flagship console exclusive. You may have heard of it. And with its groundbreaking Xbox Live released in 2002, it had landed as a strong competitor. Xbox did struggle in overseas sales, and after cutting its price, it did also begin losing money. However, this did make it more available. Fears of the console closing down were soon after lost with the release of Halo 2, selling over 2.5 million units the first day. The success carried over into its next generation, the Xbox 360. This console, with its many strong exclusives and despite having hardware issues, sold incredibly well, further helping to pave the road of making gaming a more common and individually connecting medium. Xbox Live brought people together in a way nothing else had, breaking down walls that had invisibly kept gaming limited. Despite missteps with Kinect and later frustrating application decisions, Xbox definitely deserves credit for their innovations and connectiveness. However, PlayStation 2 created a connectedness despite its more single-player oriented hardware and game releases. So, how are these connections born? Well, it's from a few things. One is the ability to share a similar and at times intimate experience with another individual without having to have both experienced these moments at the same time. Also, the familiarity and connection a person builds with the consoles they use and have used acts as a sort of common ground between people in a way that very few other things can. It's these connections that lead to the groups of people who stand behind each of these consoles. However, then what leads to the divide between groups of console users? Well, something to note is that, generally speaking, a group not often brought up in the battling of console users does any of those who stand with Nintendo's releases? Is this because Nintendo console users happen to be infinitely more mature? No. This divide seen between Xbox and PlayStation users stems from a few things. First of all, consoles, despite being more affordable than pre-made gaming rigs, are still costly, so oftentimes for middle-class families, only one of these consoles can really be afforded. So this means that as consoles evolve and to the next generation, it's easier to stick with the system and company you've grown accustomed to because you have an idea of what to expect. Also, PlayStation and Xbox marketing and releases oftentimes directly challenge or attempt to undercut their competitor, meaning that when it comes time to buy a new console, the competition is put directly in front of a buyer and all other possible customers. Mix in the familiarity and connection certain individuals build over time, and it's easy to see how this can lead to a brand loyalty and a disdain for those who support the company you feel opposes your own. Yet it doesn't have to be this way. Constant brand loyalty can oftentimes be detrimental and lead to you being blindsided by horrible business practices. Just because these two companies stand at odds doesn't mean that the people who support or use these consoles have to as well. Personally, I'm always going to enjoy more single-player oriented games, and I grew up with a PlayStation. So of the two companies, it's easier for me to just stay supporting the one I'm comfortable with. Also, they have God of War, so... But that doesn't mean I have to undercut someone who enjoys Xbox because of the multiplayer, or because it's what they were raised with. We now step into the newest generation of consoles, with the Xbox Series X and the PS5. And yet I don't exactly feel excited in the same way for these releases as when I saw the PS3 and eventually PS4. Personally, I feel as though this stems from the history that recent console video games have brought. While yes, certain releases have indeed been good, none really feel like they will have the mind-capturing or series-beginning power that games of the past have brought. Yes, this is partially due to my memories being clouded by nostalgia, however, some of these are not, as even going back and playing them gives a clear idea as to why these titles captivated the mind so much. Even games not being released on consoles have been good, and at times fantastic, however, the joy and wonder tends to fade quickly. People didn't care about the Xbox because, wow, it looks so amazing, and it has an X? And it's a motherfucking box! Oh my god! No. A lot of people thought Halo looked dope, and it was only on Xbox. Who cares that the PS3 has curves, but the PS2 is thicker? The reason I hold the PS2 at higher esteem is because I remember being in awe of all the titles I played on the PS2, whereas the PS3 did true have incredible titles, but none that fed my imagination the exact same way. And the same extends to the PS4, as most of the titles that sat at the top were either continuations of series I remembered from past generations, or similar in style to games that I had originally fallen for, again, in previous generations. Same goes for Xbox. One of my favorite games that I haven't mentioned before in this video is Fable. While you can play the first game on PC through Steam, the second and third title remain tucked away on the Xbox. I don't care about the Xbox in any amount, but I would be lying if I said that I had never wanted the console just for the chance to play these games again. I'm not going to buy the PS5 because it renders and processes at an arbitrarily higher number. I'm going to eventually buy it because there's new titles, and with whispers of having more of the game library from PS2 era coming back, I have a chance to get lost again like when I was a kid sitting in my room till it was morning just playing video games to block out the world. In the end, who really cares about the PlayStation, or the Xbox, or Nintendo, or Sega? All that really matters is that they bring this one-of-a-kind experience into our hands and into the comfort of our own home. At the end of the day, we're all just a bunch of nerds. Who really cares what name of the Beat Boot box excites you? Because kick-ass new video games is a tune I think we can all dance to.